He had lived next to her for 7 years, exchanged nothing more than nods and polite smiles. But that evening, as rain streaked down the windows and his life felt like it was quietly falling apart, his 50-year-old neighbor looked him straight in the eyes and said softly, "If you want to see, just ask." He froze, because he didn't know how she could possibly know what he was hiding. Back in index pointing right before the story unfolds. Take a second to like this video and subscribe to True Kindness Tales, because stories like this remind us that hope often lives right next door. Ethan was 36 and exhausted in a way sleep never fixed. Every morning he left his small rented house before sunrise, the porch light flickering like it might give up any day now, just like he felt he might. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him alone with their 8-year-old daughter, Lily, and a grief that settled into his bones. Money was always short, bills stacked neatly on the counter like silent accusations. And every night, after Lily fell asleep, Ethan sat at the kitchen table pretending not to panic about the future. Next door lived Mrs. Clara Whitmore. She was 50, maybe a little more, with silver-threaded hair she always tied back neatly, and eyes that looked like they'd seen both storms and sunsets. She baked on Sundays, tended a small garden, and spoke kindly, but never intrusively. Ethan assumed she lived a quiet, comfortable life. He had no idea how wrong that assumption was. The moment everything changed came on a Thursday evening when Ethan's car refused to start. Rain poured relentlessly as he tried the ignition again and again, Lily shivering beside him. That's when Clara appeared under a large blue umbrella, her voice calm, almost warm. She insisted they come inside her house until the tow truck arrived. Inside, her home surprised him. Walls covered with old photographs, handmade crafts, and framed letters. It didn't feel wealthy or fancy. It felt meaningful. While Lily warmed her hands around a mug of cocoa, Clara looked at Ethan with an expression that made his chest tighten. She said quietly, "You've been carrying too much alone." The words hit him harder than he expected. He laughed it off, but his eyes burned. As they were leaving, Clara stopped him at the door and said the words that would echo in his mind all night. "If you want to see, just ask." Ethan nodded awkwardly, unsure what she meant, convinced he'd imagined the weight behind her voice. That night, he couldn't sleep. He thought about the letters on her wall, the photographs of strangers smiling beside her, the sense that her house held stories. And for the first time in years, curiosity nudged aside his fear. Maybe she hadn't been talking about her house at all. Maybe she had been talking about something deeper, something he'd stopped believing existed. The next afternoon, Ethan found Clara kneeling in her garden, dirt on her gloves, and a peaceful focus on her face. His heart pounded as he cleared his throat. "You said something yesterday," he began, feeling foolish. "You said if I wanted to see, I should ask." Clara looked up slowly, as if she'd been waiting. She smiled, not triumphantly, but gently, and invited him inside. This time, she took him to a small room at the back of the house. Inside were boxes, dozens of them, neatly labeled. She opened one and pulled out stacks of letters, drawings from children, photos of families, newspaper clippings. Ethan stared, confused. Clara explained that for 20 years, she had quietly helped people in the neighborhood, paying utility bills anonymously, arranging job interviews, tutoring children for free, even sitting with the dying when no one else would. "I lost my son," she said simply. "Helping others is how I learned to breathe again." Ethan felt his throat close. She showed him a notebook filled with names. His name was there. She had noticed the overdue notices, the broken car, Lily's worn shoes. "I never wanted to interfere," Clara said. "But sometimes people don't need money first. They need to be seen." Tears rolled down Ethan's face without permission. No one had seen him in years. Not really. Clara handed him an envelope. Inside was contact information for a training program, a recommendation letter already written, and a grocery store gift card. "This isn't charity," she said firmly. "It's community." Over the following weeks, Ethan's life slowly shifted. He enrolled in the program. Lily started spending afternoons learning piano from Clara. Meals were shared. Laughter returned in pieces. And Ethan realized the thing Clara had invited him to see wasn't her kindness. It was his own worth, still intact beneath the weight of loss. Months later, Ethan stood in a new uniform on his first day at a better-paying job, Lily cheering from the sidewalk. Across the street, Clara watched quietly, pride shining in her eyes. Ethan understood now that kindness didn't announce itself loudly. It lived in small choices, in patience, in paying attention. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Ethan knocked on Clara's door holding a framed photo of Lily's first piano recital. "For your wall," he said. Clara hugged him, not tightly, but warmly, like someone who trusted he was strong enough now. Years would pass, and Ethan would become the man who noticed others slipping through cracks. He would help without expecting recognition. Because once, when he was drowning silently, a neighbor had offered him something rare. Not pity, not judgment, but vision. She had reminded him that asking for help wasn't weakness, that it was the beginning of connection. And every time Ethan passed Clara's garden, he remembered the moment she said, "If you want to see, just ask." Back in Index Pointing Right, if this story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to True Kindness Tales. Your support helps us share more stories that prove kindness is still alive, sometimes right next door. Yellow Heart.